Alright, so for this video, I want to talk about the MLB career of Adrian Beltre. Now this video isn't too much about whether or not Beltre belongs in the Hall of Fame. It's more about my baseball fandom on a national level and how it interestingly coincides with Beltre's career. Because after Beltre's first 12 years of his MLB career, I never would have guessed that he would be immortalized in Cooperstown. It shocked me greatly that Beltre became a Hall of Famer. So to begin, I want to mention I absolutely love following baseball beginning in the late 80s and into the 90s. The games, the stats, the box scores. But then my baseball fandom began to decline due to two major reasons. The first reason was because of how the economics and finances of baseball were trending regarding big market teams and small market teams in the late 90s. So in 1998, a third baseman from the Dominican Republic named Adrian Beltre made his debut with the Los Angeles Dodgers at the age of 19. Right now, I'm showing the stats from Beltre's first 6 seasons with the Dodgers, and this was a period when my baseball fandom nationally was declining. But nonetheless, I was hearing so many outstanding items in regard to how talented Adrian Beltre is, who's being so highly touted, but Beltre's numbers did not match the hype. Around this time, hitting 20 home runs a season was alright, as baseballs were reaching the bleachers more frequently, but Beltre's batting average was around league average, and his on-base percentage was a little below average. In addition, I want to talk about Beltre's fielding, as he was also so highly talked about, with great defensive skills at the hot corner. So I remember seeing the talent with the glove, with his reflexes and range, and he had a cannon of an arm. Now Beltre, he made a lot of errors with the Dodgers. In fact, he led the major leagues with 29 errors in 1999. But from my memory, and Dodgers fans who are able to watch every game tell me if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing most of those errors not from his glove work, but from him making wild throws from strange arm angles and body positioning. But at least you can see the talent and potential defensively. So from Beltre's first 6 seasons in the major leagues, nothing close to grab your attention that you're watching a future Hall of Famer. But then in 2004, Beltre's numbers exploded, as you can see, leading all of baseball with 48 home runs. I remember this season thinking that Beltre may have figured things out. So back to my baseball fandom, the economics of the game were getting worse. But the other item that really made me lose interest in baseball was because of national sports media outlets, mainly ESPN, changed. And to simply put it, around this time, it was all about Yankees Red Sox. It was all presented that everything revolved around Yankees Red Sox. Nothing else in baseball mattered except Yankees and Red Sox, and it made it just about unbearable for me to follow baseball nationally. I could go on and on about this, but the point is, around this time, all I really cared about in baseball for the most part were the Chicago White Sox. Now, there would be some baseball items that interest me. For instance, during the offseason, the Mariners signed huge free agent deals to acquire Richie Sexson and Adrian Beltre. I understand Alex Rodriguez signed that huge 10-year, $252 million deal prior to the 2001 season, but aside from that, around this time, the top players in the market would be getting 5-year deals around $60, $70 million. Wow, times have certainly changed. But anyways, while Beltre was with the Mariners, I saw him in the American League when he played against the White Sox, and I played fantasy baseball for a season just to help out some friends to fill out a spot. And while Beltre was with Seattle and watching him play, I remember thinking, what a horrible signing, because Beltre was not close to producing to his 2004 season, hitting 48 home runs. However, when looking back at the stats, they are better than what I would have guessed, but still not close to the production Seattle was hoping for when they signed Beltre to that huge contract. So Beltre has already played 12 seasons. He's into his 30s. And no one, and I'm sure no one, is projecting that Beltre is going to be a Hall of Famer. And as for my fandom, and this is for all sports, around 2010 or so, maybe a little bit later, but my love of sports declined so much to a point where I became very minimally interested in sports just because of how it was being covered and presented. In short, I used to love watching the games, but then sports stopped becoming about the game and all about the drama and stupid stories. So in 2010, Beltre, he played for the Boston Red Sox and then played for the Texas Rangers for 8 years. And I remember later in his career with the Rangers, I was hearing that Adrian Beltre is close to getting 3,000 hits. And I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It had to be an error or a mistake that Adrian Beltre, the player I saw with the Dodgers and somewhat saw with the Mariners, is close to 3,000 hits. But in reality, Beltre, he did collect his 3,000th hit. In and to my surprise, Adrian Beltre finished with 477 career home runs and 3,166 hits, something I never would have expected, but congrats to him. Now, I'm not saying Beltre used steroids. In fact, Beltre was very reliable and was rarely on the injured list. Aside from his one crazy year in 2004 with the Dodgers, Beltre, I would say, was consistent offensively from his first season to his final season. Perhaps the biggest item that helped Beltre while he was with the Texas Rangers was that he really lowered his strikeout rate, and he played in a ballpark that is considered very hitter-friendly. Now, I know I've made Hall of Fame videos about certain players, but in essence, I'm not a big Hall of Fame guy. So it doesn't really matter to me if Adrian Beltre is a Hall of Famer or not. However, I just want to say I'm stunned that Adrian Beltre is a Hall of Famer. I'm even more stunned that Adrian Beltre got 95.1% of the vote with his first time on the Hall of Fame ballot. That I really can't believe. But in addition, it's worth mentioning, there are not a lot of third basemen enshrined into the Hall of Fame compared to other positions. Lastly, I'll just end with some questions. What are your thoughts about Adrian Beltre being a Hall of Famer? What are your thoughts about that 95.1% approval to earn enshrinement into the Hall of Fame? And lastly, does anyone like me have a similar baseball fandom timeline like me? What are your thoughts about Adrian Beltre when he was with the Dodgers and Mariners? Thank you so much for your interest in this video. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for all the support.